Hey guys, it's Matt. I don't take a lot off the table. I put out a lot of theories about how things potentially work, and even if it's something where you've heard me say, it might work like this, I'm not going to take all my roulette chips and push them on that number. It's so bizarre if things work like that, but I'll leave it on the table. I'll just say it might work that way. This place is so strange, we don't know. And I don't take a whole lot off, but this one I think I'm ready to take off the table. And at first I was going to say, it seems like good news. Is it good news? Probably, but we'll see. So about 4 months ago, I don't know, 5 months ago, I'm not sure. I made a video. I'll recap it for those that don't remember the video. But in a nutshell, this will just be about a minute and a half. I said that we, of course, make claims that the people around us are missing the boat on everything. They just don't see it. They can't see it. I'm going to talk about their Timothy Busfield, if that was the guy's name in Field of Dreams. Baseball players right there, just can't see it. Sign here, Ray. They're going to foreclose. So they're Timothy Busfield. We make these claims about family and friends. But if you remember the video, I said, the wise man or wise woman needs to at least put on the table or make the assumption that this might exist, that if all these groups are being fooled, then we are also being fooled. Now, there's no chance that these groups around us that sit down and watch Aaron Burnett out front and just lap it up, there's no chance that these people understand how things work and we're missing it. No, that's impossible. The only chance is reality crafts itself in such a way that each and every group is fooled. Every group is fooled because the reality puts forth what most interests and attracts that particular group in terms of coming to an understanding as to how things work. I put on the table we might be equally fooled. But again, I don't ever want to anybody to misconstrue that we are missing things and these people that you just sit down and watch Aaron Burnett out front. That's reality. That's not possible. I mean, that is beyond dumbed down the way the news is presented, things like that. So, but maybe we're all being fooled, just in different ways. But I'm taking it off the table at this point for one reason. When you try to talk to anybody in any of these groups that we say are being fooled, and if Ken is watching, I don't know why Ken watches my videos. I have two friends, Ken and Tony, that I present this stuff to. I applaud Ken for watching, at least trying to understand my position. Tony doesn't even try. He doesn't watch. He'll just send me back magazine articles and links as to why my theories are absolutely crazy. And the mainstream has already confirmed how Matt's position or point has no merit whatsoever. Ken tries at least, but he's Timothy Busfield in Field of Dreams. If you're watching Ken, literally, there's a whole baseball game going on. Look, there's Shoeless Joe Jackson. Look, there's Mel Ott. There's a game. The little girl's like, you can't see the baseball players. Timothy Busfield, there's no baseball game. Why are you playing this trick on me, Ray? Sign here, Ray, or you're gonna lose everything, Ray. I care about my sister. You're Timothy Busfield. You can't. It's literally like that. You just can't see it. And I know that sounds completely bizarre, but this is the way to start if Ken is watching this, and I'll use Ken as an example as to how I'm taking it off the table that we're equally fooled. We're not. Our group is not fooled. These other groups are fooled. And the main reason that gives that away is a consistently bizarre behavior in the people around us that we say are fooled. They will never give you an inch on any argument that you present. They won't give an inch. They won't ever even attempt to meet you halfway. I'll give you an example. Came up recently in my recent exchange with Ken and Tony. Neil he'll send me a clipping or a headline when some baseball team signs a player to some ridiculous amount, or where there's some absurd NBA salary. So something came up, I think, in the last week, and it was the San Diego Padres. Is it San Diego or is it California? Or that was the football team, I guess, that became California. I guess it still is the San Diego Padres. They're paying this player who's not a marquee name, not A-Rod in its prime, 15 years ago, some ridiculous amount. How many times have we seen this recently? I don't know, like 250 million. I forget the amount over so many years. And I sent it out to Ken and Tony, and it just the way they react to this sort of thing, it's the same scripted response over and over again. And it does prove that no, we're not missing anything. These people around us are missing it. This by itself proves it. They can't give you an inch. So I said the same thing. I put it out. I said, why would you be making this sort of deal? I don't know, $250 million deal with a player that's not marquee when you have this situation where you're not getting any money from the fans. We don't know, if you're a business manager, and we're not going to make any. We have underlying assumptions as to how these circuses are supported and the off books support. They're getting cash injections. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just saying, does it make sense that these teams would be signing these players for these ridiculous amounts of money in this environment where they're not getting any money from the fans? So, see, if Ken were being fair, or anybody we talk to trying to present some of these way out ideas, if they're being fair, they would say, even they could even come back aggressively with me, and I'd be fine with that as long as it was fair. They'd say, Matt, look, I know the crazy shit that you believe in. I know why you probably believe this is happening. I'm not going to ever go there, Matt, but I'll give you this. I'll give you this. It is very strange that some of these teams are still signing these players for these ridiculous salaries in this environment. See, he'd give me something back, just a little bit. If there was any fair dealing going on and people being reasonable. They can't give you an inch. They never will give you an inch. All the stuff I've sent Tony over the years, never once did he come back and say, again, he could even with a caveat, I'm not going to go where you go, Matt, and your crazy shit. But that's a good point. Why does that still exist? And I have hundreds, or if you combine in the PDF book I wrote, between if the world were real, this would exist, or what are the chances, this can happen, hundreds and hundreds of pages, I think, if you combine both sections. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like 150 pages if you combine both sections. I forget. The book now is well over 700 pages. So what gives them away is you could present point by point each one of these things. If the world were real, this. And in no case will they ever say, that's a good point. They'll never give an inch. So for the recent discussion we're having about the big baseball signing, my point, I don't get too conspiratorial. They know how conspiratorial I'll get, but in presenting a basic news clipping that I got from Neil, I don't get too conspiratorial. I'll say to them, so all of if these people are continuing to be signed for these ridiculous salaries, or if there haven't been that many signed, Ken would probably say, well, there haven't been that many signed. Well, again, it's semantics. That none of the basketball players that are making their $20 to $40 million a year, none of them had to take a pay cut. No, not one basketball team came forth and said, "Well, we can't make payroll. We didn't. We needed fan money." So it not in any case is as one sports team being impacted where they're saying, we can't operate. We needed the fan money." So basically, we'll say to these guys, does it make sense that everything can go on as completely normal, and just the fan money was just, I guess, excess? If you interviewed the GM of these sports teams, they would say, "Oh, fan money. Oh, we never needed that. That was just extra. We never needed baseball season. 170 games or something ridiculous. So you would have, roughly, I don't know, 85 home games. I don't know. In baseball, it's a ridiculous amount. So for a stadium, at least when Citizens Bank Park was built in Philadelphia, they're going 20 to 25,000 a game. They were getting for years when they first built that park. They will get 12 to 18,000 a game. Whether the Yankees are in or if the Red Sox come in, they'll have 35,000. They didn't need that money. Just didn't need it. The ticket price of $35 to $70 a ticket. The $25 to $40 they would spend on food and beer, the parking, the $150 jersey for the kid. Just they didn't need that, Matt. Or the assumption is that, well, Matt, it's 1 year. All of the what a coincidence! Every single baseball owner had hundreds of millions of extra dollars laying around where they just had no financial hiccups whatsoever about not having a fan in the seat. And somebody screaming at me, or Ken screaming at me, well, Matt, these I don't know if you know who buys these teams, but they're all rich people. In every case, soccer, football, NHL, NBA, not one team that's not in a big market like New York or whatever, like the Oklahoma Thunder, not one team stepped up and were like, guys, I can't make payroll. And if they find, well, then Matt, the NBA would be supporting them to keep them afloat. Well, then why isn't there's no public headlines about a team coming forth saying I can't make payroll without the fans? So, without going into too much detail, guys, these guys, if they were being fair, and the people around you that you try to present some of these things to, they'll never give you an inch, will they? They'll never say, that's a really good point, and it's always, they make constant, along the same lines of never being fair and not meeting you in the middle. There's always this, it's just constant excuses to defend the system itself. What would be an example in the sports example I'm giving? It would be an excuse of, I think it was, I don't know if Ken or Tony pulled forth the excuse. Well, Matt, of course they're going to continue to sign big salaries. They're making the assumption that things are going to go back to normal. They would probably say the Action Jackson movie is available now to rent at Blockbuster, and things are just going to go back to normal. Of course they're going to continue to operate. Do you think that we'd be like in this situation forever? Well, with this much money on the line, you wouldn't be operating as if everything's just going to bounce back to normal. Look at I don't watch the news, but look at the headlines that's in the news. So fine, they're rolling out the Carl Weathers movie, Action Jackson, and it's in every Blockbuster. They're rolling that out. But then the next headline after that will be 3 new strains or whatever, or 5 new strains in Europe. Well, if you're a business manager with billions of dollars on the line, if you make certain decisions poorly over, say, a 10-year period, you might be like, look, we're not, if this Action Jacksonation was the panacea and everything's just going to go back to normal, then we can continue to operate like this. But these headlines are saying strain this, variation this might happen, that might happen. If anything were real, these teams would be like, you know what? We're going to put this on hold. We'd like to sign this guy. We'll tell you what, we'll do 2 years. We'll do 2 years, 20-some million each. We're not going to go 7 years, 8. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. See, they're making these decisions to sign these big names as if they have a backstop. And you know what I'm going to say? They do have a backstop. All of these circuses, the entire economy is being supported in some unnatural way by the Federal Reserve, working with the Treasury, working with unlimited money printing. I'll go back to Ken and Tony and I'll say, for 10 years, CNBC, for 40 years, CNBC and the financial networks, or before the networks, the Wall Street Journal, for example, they told us how airlines operate with absolutely no excess. No excess. That's why they stopped providing meals. By not providing meals, it was like an extra $200 million because they need that, and all this stuff about in different industries like the cruises, or Holland America, or these different cruise lines are similar to the airlines. And I'll go to Ken and Tony and I'll say, why aren't 90% of these companies out of business? See, there was never once in any presentation about, say, this industry or the airlines or an industry like that from these financial experts on CNBC or the Wall Street Journal. None of them ever said that these companies have hundreds of millions of dollars just laying around, where if they don't operate for a year, oh, no problem, they can get through that. They didn't present it that way, and of course it wouldn't be that way. They don't have that kind of money laying around. So when you have happen, what the tourism industry is still dead worldwide. So if anybody is Ken trying to make, again, calling forth more excuses and saying, well, Matt, people are flying. Well, okay, flights are going out. Do you think it's anywhere what similar to what it was 2 years ago with a $1 trillion tourism industry? The $1 trillion tourism industry is basically has to be wiped out. It's got to be down. Even at this point, it has to be down 85%. At the height of this thing, it was down 95% worldwide tourism. The airlines aren't flying what they were. They don't have them. They can't. They just can't suspend operations and say, "Oh, we have billions in the bank. We'll just draw on that." It's not the way these industries work. It's not the way these industries were ever presented to us. So, without I'll say without beating a dead horse, I guess I beat the horse and beat it again. But is Ken capable of saying, Matt, it's a good point. Honestly, I would have thought at this point 6, 7 airlines would be out of business, 8 airlines, or they're just the major 4 or 5 carriers, or the 4 or 5 carriers would be allowed to survive, but they would get like injections from the government, and that would be all public, that they all would have gone under, but just like GM got whatever it was 10 years ago, or some of the mortgage companies were bailed out. You don't hear any of this. It's just like, we didn't need the money. Airlines can just, we can just go 90% reduced flights for 7 or 8 months. No problem. We could continue to pay pensions, continue to pay all the union employees. Same with all the sports teams. Fans, you got, when do we ever tell you we needed fan money? 20,000 people coming a night, at least when 25 to 30,000 a night when Citizens Park opened. I know that it's reduced attendance in Philadelphia, but 15 to 20,000 a night for 80 some games. Oh, we didn't need that. That was all excess. What? It would be built. The hundreds of millions of dollars that's generated by those fans is worked into the model. So once you remove that and everything just goes along normally, people like us say, this isn't normal, guys. But the people we talk to are like, just all they do is make excuses for it. And it's not just, I know I've been harping on this one example, but I could go, to my book that's printed out in the next room, although it's just available via PDF still. I still have a lot of work to do on it. We've learned so much in the last year, and I haven't got to making the updates that I want to make, although I'm still continuing to document the fraud. As the fraud appears, I'll document it, because if I don't get it documented, I'll forget about it. But I could go and just, throw a dart to a certain page, and it might land on if the world were real. At this point, there would be drug commercials that don't have 30 to 45 seconds of side effects in the commercial. So the commercial needs to be a minute and a half long, simply to list out all the disgusting side effects that nobody wants to listen to when they're having dinner. And if anybody's screaming, with different types of people screaming at me, wanting to communicate with me as they're watching this video, they would say, Matt, don't you understand the litigious environment we're in, or legal environment? Well, yeah, I've thought through all that. I know the people that are like regular here at this channel would never be saying those things. Don't you understand that's to avoid lawsuit? Well, yeah, but that's my point. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, Senator McCain would have got together with Senator whoever and said, are your constituents kind of saying they wish these they don't want to sit down to dinner, and they're like, all of a sudden this drug commercial will come on TV and it'll talk about like projectile this and that, and your constituents kind of saying they would appreciate if all those, they could have a drug commercial, it's just 30 seconds, and then at the end they could say, all drugs have side effects. Please see our website for the full list of side effects. And if you don't have the web, call this 800 number and we'll mail you the side effects. That's it in every video. So in other words, if it is the litigious society, and they're all going to be sued if they don't mention every single side effect, Matt, don't you understand how many lawyers are just waiting to do a class action? Well, that's the whole point. Congress could hold them harmless. Congress, the leader of the House with the leader of the Senate, could say, you know what? We care about our constituents. They're tired of hearing all these disgusting side effects in these commercials. Projectile this and disgusting this. We're tired of it. So we're basically going to hold them harmless. You're not going to be sued just for a Guys, who are you talking to? I know there's a lot of other things going on between how the not milk system works, what is called a U.S. senator, what is a pharmaceutical company, the creepy back room. They're all working together on certain agendas. I'm aware of that. I'm just saying at the basic level in communicating with your neighbor, could you say if the world were real, wouldn't Congress have just held them harmless and said, you don't need to list these disgusting side effects. All you have to say is every drug has side effects. Call this 800 number and we'll mail them out to you. Is that such a, and if that is, even if they did that without any statute supporting them saying they couldn't be sued, is that just such opening the door to huge lawsuits? See, there's reasons why these side effects are listed that I'm not. It's way too conspiratorial, accurate in my opinion, but nothing that I'm gonna talk about in this video. There are reasons why they'll never get rid of these side effects. They'll make the excuse that, they need to list the side effects to avoid lawsuit. No, the side effects are listed for other, much more sinister and nefarious reasons that I'm not going to get into. But in terms of, talking to Ken or Tony, you could say, well, why didn't the Congress do away with that? Why didn't they just, why the Republicans would say we don't want the Democrats to take credit for that because nobody wants to hear these side effects. So let's do a deal together. At least we can both take credit for it. And then how many of the constituents are going to say, they got rid of listing all the disgusting side effects? I'm not going to vote for this guy. They would love it. They would love to put that out to their constituents, but they can't. There's reasons why those side effects have to be listed. So the point is, I could say to Ken or Tony, why didn't the Congress just hold the drug companies harmless and these disgusting side effects go away 25, 30 years ago? And they wouldn't be capable of saying, it's a good point. These people, you'd think they want to get reelected. Their constituents would want it. Everybody would want it. Oh, the drug companies, by the way, contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to their campaigns. The drug companies would want it. Is that the last little excuse they're going to dig into? Is, Matt, don't you understand who's in Congress? It's all trial lawyers, and they're always going to support their own. Oh, that's just all it is. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't matter that their entire constituent base would want it. So then it proves, I don't want to get too conspiratorial. The point is they would never be able to they would never give you an inch. They would never say, Tony or Ken would not say, Matt, it's a good point. I don't know. I'm not going to go into crazy zone where you do, but I'll give you that one. You could do that with any of what is it, 100 pages I have listed of if the world were real, this would happen. If the world were real, this would exist. There wouldn't be somebody working in the Waffle House waiting for Tiger Woods to show up, like a Southern Waffle House waiting for Tiger Woods to show up and have that pleasurable experience back by the trash cans, wouldn't be subject to the same tax code as Warren Buffett. They would say, well, this is for, if you make under 35,000 or under 40,000, you're a Waffle House employee waiting for Tiger Woods. You just, it's a little 10-page guide and one page at the back. You're not subject to what the hedge funds are. See, if the world were real, that would have happened 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But anybody can see that. You and I can see that. But the people like Ken and Tony, they will make an excuse for the system. They will never ever see, once they give an inch to me, then that door opens up that they have to look at other things, and then their whole worldview will get flushed down the toilet. And why they hold on to worldview, it's about way more, in my opinion, than cognitive dissonance and the basic psychological or sociological or psychological theories as to why people want the world to be a certain way, or cognitive dissonance. There's other means and other mechanisms like the download, or what I call the download because I have no other way to describe it, going on why people are so in support of the system and will make every excuse in the world that no matter what you bring up to your family at Thanksgiving or whatever Matt brings up, they will never give you an inch. The point of this video is that gives them away as not being fair dealers. It gives them away that they are that deluded. They are missing the boat. They are that tranced out, zombified, taking some sort of download. And it is not us equally fooled. Okay, if they were to constantly try to meet us in the middle, then I would say, well, they're making every attempt. Maybe we're equally fooled, but they don't give an inch, do they? And it just goes on. Everything I present, it's incredible. It's incredible. The 1,000 things that Matt has presented, very aggressively in some cases or subtly in some cases, not one thing has had merit. If you could go through my 150 pages or whatever's in the book, if the world were real, this would exist. What are the chances that this could happen and this could happen at the same time? The Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities, doesn't that mean something in terms of the nature of reality itself? They could go through the entire list, and in every single case, there isn't merit to one of those bullet points. In every case, Matt is just completely fooled. And to add insult to injury, all I would have had to done after all those thousands and tens of thousands of hours of research, however long I've been interested in this stuff, I'd be scared to do the math on it. But all I had to do was sit down and turn on, pick your CNN program of choice. Do you prefer the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer, or perhaps Anderson Cooper 360, or do you prefer Aaron Burnett out front? Each hour will give you, Matt, what you need to know. So wait a second. All this research, having my entire not just business world destroyed, my businesses destroyed, my ability to get a job destroyed, my social life destroyed. There's only dating for me, ever if it ever will exist again, will be inside the conspiracy circles with other people that are just as crazy as I am. I can only date inside the asylum. All of this destroyed over doing all this research, and all I had to do to get the final answer was just sit down and watch. We'll pick Anderson Cooper 360. It's 10 to 11 or 9 to 10 Eastern time. I don't know. That's all I had to do. Why did I do all this? What a waste of time. You idiot, Matt. All you had to do to understand everything there is to know about the world was watch that shit. Because that's what these people fall back on. See, does that make any sense? But I'm over here doing all this research. And what is the consequences for doing all that research and investigating this and bringing this forth? Oh, complete destruction of social life, business, ability to get a job. But all for nothing, I guess. Because all you got to do is put on cable news. It'll tell you everything you need to know. See, that by itself, to these people that you try to communicate this stuff with, that by itself would say, well, I hear you. That doesn't make a lot of sense. You did all the research. You put in thousands of hours, but see, Matt, you followed your own piston breadcrumbs, and it led you to the wrong places, and you eventually went psychotic. All you had to do was watch CNN. That by itself is psychotic. Whatever.